I guess this topic comes down to one simple question. Do you have what it takes to be a man-child and live on YouTube for the rest of your life? And in my case, with Pokemon? Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean. You're in the Poke Vault. So today's episode, guys, is going to go over a surface level view of how to become a PokeTuber, and really if you should become one to begin with. And if you enjoy this type of content, this is kind of like a feeler episode. We could make this into a series where I do a deeper dive into the different kind of equipment that I use, episode ideas, how I live stream, what it takes to get to that level where you're actually streaming effectively and dropping effective content on some level. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this content, and we will take deeper dives into this topic. It is certainly too big for one episode.
What did he say?
That sounded wrong. It is certainly too much information for one episode, and we're trying to keep it down to a certain time limit, which we're going to talk about. Also, guys, stick around to the end of today's episode for today's pro tip of the day on how to become a PokeTuber. All right, guys, number one most important tip when I was writing this episode, whether it's the manga, the original cartoon, the video game, or even the TCG, you have to like Pokemon on some level. So this is kind of like a very simplistic idea, guys, but the reason why it's important is if you don't enjoy Pokemon on some level, it's going to show through in your videos. That might be your first red flag on whether or not you should actually start a channel or continue on with a struggling channel is, you know, are you all in on it? This is a conversation you have to have with yourself and even sometimes your own family, because if you see this thing all the way through, you're going to be talking and doing things all revolving and based on Pokemon for a lot of time and for a good portion of your life. So you have to really have a conversation with yourself and figure out if this is something that you really want and if you're okay with that. In my case, I'm okay with that. All right, guys, number two, you got to decide on what type of PokeTuber you want to be. So what are the different types of PokeTubers that are out there? There's investing, there's breaking, there's opening, there's some that are all the above. When it came to myself, and I'll just talk from personal experience, I wanted to do a little bit of everything. And this is something that you have to decide what you want to do yourself. Pokemon in general on YouTube, I would say, is somewhat of a niche market in comparison to other topics or other channels that are out there. And what I mean by that is people that are in Pokemon are the ones that are going to be watching Pokemon related content, right? If you're not really into Pokemon, you're not going to have an interest to watch what we're talking about or what you're talking about as a creator. And those people aren't naturally going to be gravitating to your channel by accident because they're not going to be searching things on YouTube that have to do with Pokemon, right? So when it comes to my channel specifically, I wanted to do a little bit of everything. At this point, it's fair to say that you might not be able to be the best, let's say, market analyst. You might not have the capability to be the best breaker in the world or the best opener. You just want to be the best version of you, and whatever interests you within the hobby revolving around YouTube and how you can present content to your audience, that's what you want to really be focusing on and try to be the best version of that to the best of your ability. And that's all that's really important. Like for me, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into one corner of an already small corner of the YouTube and Pokemon market and world. I wanted to do a little bit of everything because that's my overall personality. I like to freaking get into a little bit of everything. I like to have, not just one finger in the pool. I like to have all five and then just be, just right there. I don't know. But you get what I'm trying to say. I like to be everywhere all at once, but you also can't be everything to everyone. So keep that in mind, but also really, really have an idea of what you want your channel to be based on. And it's important for your viewers because if they know that going in, they can expect that out of your content. But if you only do breaks and then you all of a sudden start giving market analysis on stuff, then it's going to confuse your audience and they might tune out because of that, or they might say in their minds, I have someone better that I can go to that information for, and maybe this channel is kind of pivoting in a different direction, and I'm not going to come to them anymore, and maybe they'll miss out on future content like breaking because that's what you normally do and that's what your audience comes to you for. So keep that in mind. you have to think of it from the other perspective. What is your audience coming to you for? And you need to focus on those things, and you need to feed that audience, right? Okay, guys, next on the list is no matter what, be yourself. Here's the thing, guys. If you're able to overcome the issue of being in a room that's totally static and you're just talking to this machine, which is what I'm doing literally right now, if you're an interesting and genuine person, you will be successful on some level. I truly believe that. If you are a dynamic human being in everyday life, but it's hard to translate that over the camera, it will come. You have to work on it, though. This isn't something where you're just good right off the bat. Maybe you are, who knows? But like for me, I was not good in front of the camera for quite a while.
I don't know if I'm live. It says I'm live, but I'm here.
I still do have a bunch of gaffes that I go through on a daily basis when I'm recording.
Everyone's watching. No one's watching.
And I'm not all there yet either, but I'm always trying to level up, my skills. Always trying to just get a little bit better every day and get a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. And I do that by rehearsing. I go through certain steps. I try to play it out in my head the night before. These are all things that go along with having a PokeTube channel or a YouTube channel in general, is you kind of have to rehearse in your mind and be ready for when the camera turns on, if you know what I'm saying. Another thing, guys, this is going to be a tough one for me to say, but it's the absolute truth, and I have to be 100% with you guys. You have to be 100% with yourselves. You have to ask yourselves, will people find you interesting? If you don't have that level of charisma or that spark, that's going to translate through the camera to your audience. And I don't know how else to say that in a nice way, but not everyone is meant to be in front of the camera, and you have to be honest with yourself with that. And believe me, if you can't be honest with yourself, I've found something with YouTube that is, I guess, quite helpful in some way. People will let you know if you are not that person. Granted, there are a lot of trolls on YouTube that just, they're just miserable and they just hate their lives and they want to just shit on other people. But there was a lot of people early on, especially with my channel, that weren't coming across like that, but they were definitely letting me know, hey,
your audio is trash,
or your video is in like 400p and you need to at least bump it up to 720. I had people like that came along and let me know in a very polite way that my skills were lacking. And it's either you make a change or, let it go. So in my case, I try to always just level it up. Take it one step further on the next video. All right, this might be one of the most important tips of this whole video, and that is be unique. So I'm going to preface this with also saying, while you're trying to bring a unique and fresh perspective on Pokemon and on whatever it is that you're doing on your channel, you also have to understand that everyone is farming everyone on some level. And what I mean by that is, most of what you're able to bring to the table has probably been done, and it's been done better than you're going to be able to do it right off the bat. So a way that I'm going to help explain that is by taking myself as an example, because it's the best thing that I can do, because I know myself best and what I'm trying to do. I knew coming in that I wanted to have a retro vibe to the channel. I was born in the 80s. I grew up with my mom wearing, the frickin' jogging suits that are neon pink. She's going to her yoga, jazzercise class, wearing the pink bandana. I mean, I grew up with that. I have memories of it as a child. So I knew coming in that I wanted to bring that back for myself. But what I can tell you is that I love that genre. I love that time in the, in life for me personally, because it all kind of circles around when I was introduced to Pokemon. So I knew that the channel was going to have a retro vibe. It didn't have it right off the bat because I was still trying to find my voice.
We have 84 or 85 subscribers. I don't know what it's going to be at the time this video comes out.
But I knew that I wanted that later on. I also knew that I just didn't want to do card openings because I think that's done better. I don't have the resources personally to have a $5,000 opening on every episode. Not yet anyway. Maybe someday we will. But as for right now, I knew that I didn't want to do openings only because it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be done better, and it's going to be done at a higher level that I'm not going to feel comfortable with when it comes to my daily, or my budget per episode. And not to mention, it's a bit boring if you're just doing openings purely by itself. I've done it. it's not the most fun for me. What I did know for sure is that I wanted to stream. And the reason why streaming was so attractive is because I have a background using a green screen. So I just knew how to do that coming in, and it had nothing to do with YouTube, but I had experience on how to, you know, kind of picture myself in a different scene and doing different things, and how to interact with kind of a blank green screen, but make it, you know, translate to you guys in, you know, in an exciting and interesting way on some level.
What'd I tell you about the ceiling, Steve?
And maybe be unique in that way, right? Going back to the unique part with Pokemon and YouTube, and try to bring you a different feel. And I'm going to tell you guys here and now, it is no secret that this channel has a Dr. Disrespect vibe to it. And it didn't help me, obviously, that he, you know, the doc is the GOAT. He has been doing this for a long time, and he has the same type of retro feel. Me and him are like similar in age, so he has the same type of thing going on. Obviously, his is gaming, so mine is kind of trying to transition, you know, bring that to Pokemon, but also I'm not trying to farm him so hard that I'm just like a mini him and just living off of his clout. That's not what I want. The dude is, you know, untouchable as far as I'm concerned. He's a dynamic and incredibly charismatic human being, and he's so fun to watch. I've been watching him for years. So there's that portion, but I want to bring my own spin to it. Just because we both use green screens doesn't mean we're the same people. Sometimes I might gaffe and say a similar thing to him, but that's just because I consume so much of his content. But you guys need to know out there that I'm trying to be my own person and my own version of what I can do while also living in that space. And the beauty of YouTube is it's so big, and you guys are so awesome that both of us can live in the same space. Obviously, he's on a God tier and I'm at a beginning tier, but we can live in the same place and still have, you know, a unique experience when it comes to our viewers and how we're, you know, shooting over content through this little machine. Next, guys, have a plan. Start writing your episodes if you're not already, and don't wing it for the love of God, because you can totally see it from a consumption point of view. This episode that you're watching right now, I'll even put a little shot of it on the screen. I wrote this entire episode out so that I at least have a plan in my mind. In my personal opinion, unless you have some kind of crazy photographic memory, I have to put down my thoughts on paper and then kind of have it right here. You can't see it, but I have it right here so I can give you guys a concise idea of what's going on in here, so it translates into the camera and you guys can understand it on some level. Second to last, guys, have some level of editing. If you have that charisma, but the delivery is bad, people will not watch it. I mean, it's like the same thing with your thumbnail. If you have amazing content or amazing charisma, or even if your editing is out of control, I've seen it where other channels have literal smoke for editing. It's so good, but their thumbnail is terrible. And I hate saying that because, like, you know, people might think that it's good, but if it's not a thumbnail that people are going to want to click on, they're not going to get to the part where you have crazy charisma or you have crazy good editing, or what you're sharing is super important and people need to hear it. You need to have that beautiful front door. It's like having a beautiful inside of your house, but your front door or the front of your house looks like trash. You want it to all kind of mix. I had the same issues. You fall into this pitfall of trying to have this crazy elaborate thumbnail where it's like super insane and busy. I have examples myself. You want to transition, and you can even go through my videos where you'll see a distinct transition from where I was completely lost mentally, physically, and metaphysically when it came to the thumbnail. I don't know what I was thinking early on in the channel, but you will see a transition and an evolution to a more simplistic, clean, higher resolution, and concise idea for what I thought a thumbnail should be. And I'm not even there yet, but you can see a clear evolution of it getting better, and that's a fact. So keep that in mind, guys, when it comes to your editing and your thumbnails. You gotta level up. You gotta be doing a little bit better each time. That's the plan. If you're going backwards, there's no point. You don't want to go backwards or sideways. You always need to be taking small steps forward when it comes to your quality and your overall thumbnail appeal. So lastly, guys, I want to thank you for sticking around till the end of this episode. If you haven't already, hit the damn buttons. You know what to do. We're going to 50K. There's nothing that's gonna stop us. I appreciate you. Let's get into today's pro tip of the day. So today's pro tip, guys, and I was gonna throw this into the body of the episode itself, but I think it's so important. Don't resent your fellow YouTubers. Don't look at other YouTubers and base your success on theirs. And don't resent them by all means, because that's just not the way. Competition is good, but being resentful in this space is so toxic, and people can absolutely feel that. You know, obviously there's channels that will needle other channels, but it's in fun, right? It's in love. But there's other channels that I've seen where they take shots at certain channels because they deep down resent them. And at the end of the day, guys, haters are just obsessed fans, truly. Like when I look at other channels that started around when I started and that are blowing up way bigger than mine, the last thing I do is resent them. If anything, I'm actually happy for them, because if they're succeeding, that means I'm succeeding. It's very likely that some of their audience is some of my audience, or vice versa. So if they sink, I sink. We're all in the same boat, so I just figured don't make holes. And at the very least, I cheer those guys on. And you know what happens when you do that? It comes around, because those people end up coming back to you and saying, hey, do you want to work together on something? And that's like the biggest, I'm getting full chills on that because that literally just happened. For me, as a Pokemon content creator, that is the biggest flex on the planet, and that's the biggest prop that someone can pay me, is by them coming to me and saying, hey, do you want to do something together? That's huge. And that means that you're putting off that vibe like, hey, this guy just wants everyone to succeed, because you know what? At the end of the day, there's an ass for every seat, and the table is big enough for everyone to sit at, in my opinion. So all I want is for other PokeTubers and everyone that is either watching me or that doesn't watch me and they're doing their own thing in Pokemon and YouTube, I want everyone to prosper, and that's the God's honest truth, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that they do. And that's it. That's all I have to say about that. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. It's a little bit of a longer episode. I appreciate you all. I can't wait to see you guys in the next live or the next episode. Peace!
Yeah, I'm talking to you. It's time to hit the button already. Do it now. What do you think, I'm dancing for free here?